Hi, welcome to my channel. This is the second pistol on my channel. This was the first, the CF98, and coincidentally, they both have rotating barrel. Matter of fact, they're the first two pistols to reintroduce the rotating barrel system in the 90s after a long hiatus when the system fell out of favor after World War II. This Cougar 8000 was introduced in 1994 by its parent company Beretta. Beretta hoped the Cougar would replace the Model 92, but for some reason it didn't catch on. Maybe people weren't ready for something different, even though some police forces adopted them. But since then, it's been gaining in popularity. Even Glock makes one now. But Beretta didn't give up and continued working on the system because they believe in the benefits of the rotating barrel. According to the website, they believe the rotary barrel dissipates the recoil away from the shooter's hands and reduces muzzle climb, while other claims it's more accurate because the barrel doesn't shift from its center of access. 10 years later, they introduced their second rotating barrel, the PX4 Storm. Beretta then stopped production of the Cougar and transferred the manufacturing machinery to their plant in Turkey and the marketing to Stoeger Industry, their American subsidiary, so they could focus on the PX4 Storm. A little about the history of Stoeger Industry. Alexander F. Stoeger was an Austrian immigrant that started marketing guns through a flyer in 1918, and in 1924 officially started a mail order company. Through the years, it grew into a publishing company and expanded their catalog that included many variety of guns from around the world, eventually to include commissioning manufacturing of guns. Then in 1994, Finland's Seiko became majority owner, and in the year 2000, they sold their interest to Beretta through their subsidiary Benelli. The Cougar 8000, originally designed for law enforcement, came in .40 Smith & Wesson. At the time, it was a popular round. Then came the 9mm 357 SIG and the .45 ACP. Today, the Stoeger comes in 3 calibers except for the 357 SIG. So let's begin with the review and field stripping. Okay, I'm back. There's an old adage that says, "The reports of my death are greatly exaggerated," and that applies to this gun because there are reports out there that they ceased production of this gun back in 2017. So, and yet this is newly produced. And also on the internet, I saw the country of Pakistan got a new shipment. So if that reports is true, I'm hoping that then these are limited production, and I hope they're testing the market to see whether they're going to resume production again. I hope they do. Okay, now let's take a look why this pistol is so special. It comes with a manual, 2 magazines, a cable lock, and a note inside. And the note says, "This special make-up Cougar imported to Canada has a 9-round magazine, while the magazine box is stamped 15. It has been factory modified and accepted by the CFO. CFO stands for Chief Firearms Officer, to take only 9 rounds. Okay. I see the magazine is made in Italy, yet the pistol is made in the country of Turkey. There's 3 peepholes, says 5, 10, 15, but I live in Canada, so it's restricted to 10, but this is even restricted down to 9 now. Now I don't know why that was done that way, but these indents are restrictors. It just restrict only down to 9 rounds. It won't let any more rounds go further down past that indent. I see that it has cutouts for a mag catch. There's both sides, so it's ambidextrous. Also, this part is where the slide catch goes into, slide stop. So that's basically it about the magazine. Okay, why don't we get the stats out of the way? The length is 7 5/8 of an inch. The height is 5.5 inches. The weight is 1.88 pounds. And the average trigger pull weight is 5 pounds. Okay, now let's look at the manual. The manual says it comes in 3 models. This is the F model, and that is a single action, double action with a safety switch. There is a D model that doesn't have the safety switch and is strictly double action. And there is a G model that does have the safety switch, but there's no safe. It's just a decocker. Okay. Next page. It says that there's a few more versions. There's an L version that has a bevel and lighter slide. It also has a mini Cougar version and has an inox version. Inox version is basically stainless steel where steel used to be. And that includes the barrel, the slide, extractor, safety lever, the trigger, slide stop, disassembly latch button, magazine release assembly, and trigger bar. Okay, so that's what it is. Okay, so we're done with the manual. Now let's look at this. And well, why did I buy it? Well, the MSRP is $630 Canadian. For Black Friday, I got it for 50% off, so 315 Canadian. So that kind of works out to be about $265, $270 US. That's pretty cheap. So that's the whole reason why I bought this. Now let's look at this gun and start from the top and work our way down. Okay, it has the typical 3-dot sights. Okay, and then the slide is made out of steel. Now, normally the finish in the older model are typical of the Beretta Brunetin finish, which basically is a Teflon over Parkerized, which is a double finish, and that's exactly what the U.S. Army M9 pistol also has. But I don't think this one is that finish. And the reason why is because the Brunetin usually comes with a chrome bore. And if you look in here, there is no chrome. It's completely dark in there. So I'm going to guess that the bore is nitride. Okay, and I would assume that that's also the same finish with the barrel. It's been nitride. And that could also be the slide, although I cannot be absolutely positive. On the side here, it says Stoeger Cougar 8000F, but there's a C that's with a different font punch beside it. So I don't know what the C stands for, and I can't find what C stands for, but I'm going to assume that C stands for compensator, and that's what's so special about this pistol. This is the only pistol I can see. I scoured the whole internet looking for whether it's a Beretta or a Stoeger Cougar 8000 that comes with a compensator, and I can't find it. So I would assume this is what it is. It's a special run of Cougar 8000 with a compensator. Okay, so it has a safety switch up here. Okay, and it's also a decocker. And it's made out of steel, but the frame is made out of aluminum. And of course, it has a different finishing. It has an anodized finishing. And it has plastic grips. It feels, for my hand, feels a little on the chunky side. Okay, this is a slide release. This is a slide stop, mag catch, and as I mentioned earlier, this could be switched over to the right side. It has a combat trigger guard. Nice. Okay, I'm going to put the magazine in. I'm going to cock it, and because it's empty, the slide stop works. Now I'm going to push it down, and now it's on single action. Now the safety, I'm not used to having the safety lever way up there because, you know, a little lower is what I would be more comfortable with, but it's way up there. And I'm going to decock that right now. And now it's in safe. Now if you had the G model, that lever would bounce back up again. Okay. So because now it's in safe, I can pull the trigger and nothing will happen. Okay, it's in safe. I can quickly push the safety lever up. You see the red dot? It means I can fire. And of course, I can be half cock. I can go all the way cock, or I could cock it for single action. And there is a small travel, and the trigger pull is, as I mentioned earlier, it's 5 pounds, a little heavier than I would like. Okay, so basically that's the review. The finishing is very good, the fit and finishing is very good, except for this one tiny little shiny spot right here. I don't know if you can see it. I can see it right there, it's shiny. And that's why I presume it is not a Bruniton, because Bruniton is a double finish. It's parkerized first and then they put a Teflon on top of it. The fact that there's a little shiny spot there when I got it means that there was probably a speck down there, and and somehow the single coat couldn't cover that. Now if this was made in Italy, this would not have left the factory, but I'm not that fussy about it. So I still think the fit and finishing is excellent. It's very good, excellent. Okay, so that basically covers the review. Next thing, let's do the field stripping while we're at it. Okay, there is a slide separation thing here. What you do is you press this button on the other side. Okay, you press it like this and it rises. And when that rises, you take this lever and you push it down. Okay, and that's when you can slide your slide straight out. Separates. And when I look inside about the fit and finishing, it is exceptionally well done. Now, my first pistol on my program was the CF98. The outside was well done, but the inside was not very good. All the parts inside felt kind of gritty. But this one is really smooth. Everything seemed to fit really well and nicely polished. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, this is a rotary barrel, rotating barrel, and the way to separate the return recoil spring and the cam base is to push this forward and lift it up like that, and that'll come out, and then you can separate the cam base from the recoil spring and the recoil guide. Okay, I'll show you what this looks like. This is the cam right there. Even this piece, it's nice and smooth. not gritty at all. Okay, and this piece is the recoil and the guide. And then after that, the barrel just lifts up like that. This is where the cam, this is where they guides the cam, right there. This is what the inside looks like. Really well machined, nice and smooth. Here, I'm gonna put that on. Okay, and this is basically how it sits. Okay. And when it's moved forward, they're together. And then when it's moved back, as you can see, the barrel start to turn. Okay, when it's separated like this, start to turn. Watch this. And that's what it is. Okay. Okay, to disassemble a magazine is pretty straightforward. You just push this button, okay, and you just move the base forward. It's a plastic base. Make sure your thumb is holding on to the spring, and then it comes out like that, and then the follower just slips forward, slips down like that. Okay, pretty straightforward. I'll reassemble it back together. Now you just hold it down with your thumb, slide this back in. There it is, pretty simple. Okay, now let's reassemble. First, take the slide, put the barrel in, and you just slide it in like this, like that. Okay, compensator points up, and the cam points down, like that. Push it all the way back. Now take the recoil spring, slide into the base, like this. Okay, put the recoil to the front here, and then push the base onto like that, and just make sure it's centered. Pretty simple. Now hold it with your left hand and slide these guide into the frame to the slide, like that. Okay, you just push it down like that, and then you should just hear a click. Then, okay, once you push the slide back, put your thumb, hold on to this lever, and just push the lever up while you're pushing on the slide, and then it should click. Test it out. Make sure it works. Make sure it works with the magazine, and it does. Like I said, even though it feels kind of chunky, it is well balanced because the frame is aluminum, not like the CF98, which is it felt top heavy. So there you have it. Thank you very much for joining me, and please subscribe.